Hey friends, Dr. Devynne here with Jing, Shen Healing Arts and Middle Path CrossFit. I realize in starting to put out more content on this page and sharing more what we're up to, how we approach things, and the everything in between, it's probably helpful to know where we're coming from. I want to share a little bit more of my journey and connection to CrossFit, specifically as an athlete, to coach, to affiliate owner, and share more about the evolution of that process and where I have come from within that and how that has shaped my lens of the work we're doing now within our affiliate, but also within our clinic. We have quite a few things coming forward, some things that are quietly happening behind the scenes internally that we have not really publicized a whole lot yet. And it's a fun, I'm going to say merging of worlds, but they're really, for me, not separate worlds. But we're getting to create more of one solid container around the health and wellness that we are doing within the clinic and within the gym space. And yeah, I want to share a little bit more of that journey, but also, I don't know, give some insight into who I am as a person, practitioner, coach, all of those things, and how those pieces have come together and how they continue to come together for us. This video and story may unfold over a series of videos, and I'm happy to answer any questions that come up along the way. But yeah, I want to start at the beginning and share my exposure, my journey with CrossFit. So I found my way specifically to CrossFit in 2019, almost to the day. Last week was the anniversary of the first CrossFit class I ever took, and that would have been in 2019. My first class happened at a gym that was doing a soft launch before they officially opened. Shout out to CrossFit Taylors, who just celebrated their anniversary and 7 years. And so I had really one path, one connection to CrossFit at that time. It was my entry in. And like I think most former athletes that find their way into this setting, you take a class and it just touches a part of you that takes you back to your competitive sports days. And I fell in love with it from the first class that I took. I think it was wonderful to be in that setting. It just felt different than fitness and working out, which I've had a relationship with since I was very young. And so, yeah, that was the gateway. I loved the first class, went back for the first week, signed up, became a founding member at the gym, and I was there until I moved to Montana, which had its own journey and experience with CrossFit that I'll share someday. But my initial exposure at the gym that we were at, because I was there from day one, I got to experience growing around us, those founding members. And one of the things that the owner did really well within this space was make it feel safe and inclusive. And he was so focused on teaching proper mechanics and good technique and form bursts before we got intense and got too heavy too fast, all of those things. The rooting of all of this was move well first, and then the rest will come later. And the owner's name is Cameron Trollinger. He's actually still my personal coach to this day. We do remote coaching work. It was a great exposure, and I think it is what, even at the time, we knew it's what it needed to be, what it should be. And that was all I really knew. And within a year of training, I decided to go pursue my CrossFit level 1. I never really intended to coach. I have this deep love and passion for diving into all things and learning anything and everything I can about the things that I am doing. And so I really went to the level 1 weekend with the intention of just learning more for myself. I was starting to do some local competitions. I loved how it felt in my body and what I was experiencing. And I loved getting better and learning and just taking it all in. So that was the next progression, I would say, for my own journey as an athlete. And I did the weekend, passed the tests, became a CrossFit level 1 coach, really without the intention of ever coaching. And that happened just weeks before COVID really took over our area. And when things shut down, and that journey was what it was, when our area and our space opened back up, I got an opportunity to coach. So that summer, I coached my first classes, and I coached started coaching in 2020 that summer. until we moved out to Montana a few years later. So I only ever trained at one gym. I coached at the same gym, and it was such a fun journey to transition from being an athlete and just loving it and everything that it did for me to stepping into a coaching role and getting to do that work with other people. When we decided to move to Montana, I knew because of the experience that I had at this gym that I wanted to be able to build that community and offer that to other people. So from the moment we decided to move, it became part of the vision to eventually open up a gym. We had a 5-year plan to do it. We executed that in about 2.5 to 3, which tells you a lot about our personalities. And yeah, that has its own kind of journey and story and all of those things. But that was my original origins to CrossFit. It's super fun to experience it in so many different lenses and vantage points. I will share kind of my journey of coaching with being a doctor of acupuncture and Chinese medicine in a separate video because it's its own story. But this methodology I love studying it and understanding kind of the science behind it and the intention. And I never knew any different because that's how I was coached. Mechanics, consistency, then intensity, teaching proper form and mechanics, not getting too heavy too fast, and scaling and modifying, keeping everything appropriate. And I had always heard it's so intense, there's injuries all the time. And that wasn't my experience within the gym we were in. It wasn't the experience I had personally as an athlete and as a coach. We never really saw it. People stayed very healthy. And yeah, so there was this kind of echo in the background of what people perceived CrossFit to be that was completely opposite of what my experience of CrossFit was at the time. And yeah, so it was an interesting journey. And I think one of the things that I love about the methodology, I posted in a separate video, the split between the sport and the methodology for health and wellness. It is so intentional, and it's very intentional, very calculated, very purposeful when taught well. And I love that I got to experience the full capacity of that again, both as an athlete and as a coach that was learning. Before I ended up in acupuncture school, my life path, if you will, was I was on track to study exercise science in college. That was what I thought I always wanted to do with my life. I was in competitive sports from a very early age through taekwondo and fast pitch softball that turned into a softball career I played in college. And the only thing I ever knew was sports and competition. And I loved it. I loved the training aspect of being the best that I could be so that I can show up and perform on the field. I was in the weight room at a very young age, probably 12 or 13. I've been lifting weights. And yeah, I just loved training and challenging edges and seeing how good I could get at something and showing up and showing it off. So CrossFit definitely really spoke to that competitive drive part of myself. And I think when I was thinking about studying exercise science, I wanted to be able to do that for other people. I wanted to be able to help athletes that wanted to compete at a high level. I wanted to help individuals connect to their body and feel good in their bodies. It wasn't through the lens of a personal trainer. I knew I had this idea of it wanting to be more than that. It wasn't about just training people, and it wasn't just about fitness. It always felt bigger than that. And I think when I found CrossFit, I understood what this unspoken vision of things was that I wanted to do within that world and within that work. I just didn't know it was CrossFit at the time. And the one big long story in between there led me away from exercise science and to acupuncture school, which I have no regrets about. That is where my biggest heart and passion lies, is in the work I get to do as a doctor of acupuncture and Chinese medicine. But I am also so grateful on a personal level that CrossFit came into my life and got to full circle all of that for me, and that I still get to show up and do that work and get to merge those worlds together for the same purpose for people. Yeah, that's a little bit more of my story in connection to CrossFit. And yeah, we'll keep kind of sharing the story, sharing this journey, if you will. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.